Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this month's edition, pardon me, of Métis Coffee Talk. Sorry for the late start, and I for some reason I don't think there was volume on that introduction. I don't know what happened. It's just been that kind of evening for me. I won't say why I'm late, other than to say that next time I will take my keys with me everywhere I go, and I won't get locked out of my office. I have to confess. So if anyone wants to know why we're a bit half hour late, it's because I had to decide whether I was going to break the door down in my office or just find another way in. So fortunately, I found another solution. So my apologies for a half hour late start tonight, but I know we've got lots of items and news and stories and information to go through tonight. We're going to carry on with the show. So thanks for joining me for this Thursday. Boy, I can't believe it's already January 25th. It feels like it just was 2023 a month ago. Just kidding. That was kind of a corny joke. But anyways, it was but it is I can't believe it's already the end of January and it's the 25th already, and it's certainly been an eventful month for the BC Métis Federation. So with that, I want to welcome our guest tonight. I want to say hi to our Vice President, Renee Therian, and I see you've got some guests with you. So Renee, why don't you introduce yourself and say hi to everyone, and of course just let everyone know who's with you tonight.
Yes, thank you for having us. I have Helen giving me a hand on the guitar. And for the first number, I'm going to play Turkey in the Straw. That's an old tune that I learned many years ago. Well, I won't say how many years ago, but here it is.
Perfect.
G.
Well, that was great. Thanks for getting the show kicked off, Mr. Vice President and Helen. That was wonderful. And the name was Turkey in the Straw.
Turkey in the Straw. Yeah.
Okay, so what is that? What's the symbolism of that?
I don't know. That's an old tune that I've learned when I was about 14 years old, and I still remembered it. So it's an old oldie.
Right. Well, that's perfect. Well, and I do want to say I acknowledge here. I just want to welcome before I go into the stories tonight. So thank you both, and again, Helen, thank you for being online tonight with providing that backup for our illustrious vice president and fiddler here. That's great to see you again, Helen, and happy New Year to you as well. Right.
Same to you.
Yeah. And some people that are watching tonight, just by background, Helen is one of the, of course, volunteers and supporters of the Skeena River Métis Community Association, and been very involved with the Skeena Valley Country Music event that happens every August, I think, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I heard you had a really nice raffle for a great bike this last one. I don't know. I heard there was a really nice bike that got raffled off. The
Yes,
story
there
behind
was.
that. Yeah, yeah. That I bought my son that bike. He rode it twice, and we ended up raffling it off about 4 years later. It still looked like brand new. So there you go.
And thanks
Um,
again.
yeah, yeah. Hey, anything to help the cause. I also want to welcome tonight online. We've got Angel Fisher and Zia. I think Zia, you guys are online. I think we'll start with you, Angel. Maybe introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm Angel, Director of Coastal Conservation with BC Métis Federation
And where are you joining us from, Angel, tonight?
from the lovely Vancouver office.
Right, that might be close by where I am, I think. Yeah, and I just want to. I also want to acknowledge another coastal department representative, Zia. Zia, do you want to introduce yourself?
For sure, yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Zia. I'm a coastal manager. I'm working with BCMF. I'm really glad to be here today with all of you.
Boy, Zia, you're out camping, I see, hey?
Yeah, I'm actually in the middle of the forest.
Well, I know everyone online won't understand, but Zia and I were just about separated our shoulders trying to figure out if we could push the door without quite breaking it. But there you go. Anyways, it all worked out. But thanks, Zia, for showing. We tried to muscle our way through, but that door was more muscle than we realized.
Absolutely, yeah.
Anyways, everyone, there's a couple stories I want to talk about, and there's a few updates, important ones, and some stuff that's going to be, it'll bring us to our first, some of our first topics today. I think everybody knows by now in the Métis community, Greg Mazur was our director of industry engagement, and we're very, very sad, and we've put out several posts about this. But Greg he was part of our leadership group with the BC Métis Federation for years. He took a role on with us operationally in would have been about 2018. And over the course of the last 4 or 5 years, he was very instrumental in helping us build a number of our programs and initiatives, some of which you'll know today is, the very own scholarship program that was implemented this year. That was Greg's visioning and idea around that. And we've helped an additional almost 30 students from all parts of the province with some scholarships. And he was a great team player. And Greg passed away, and everyone I think knows this already, but he did pass away. I think it was December 21st to be exact, and it was really unexpected. It was unfortunate. It appears it was just went to sleep and didn't wake up and had I guess, as peaceful as you can go, and a heart attack sort of thing. So we just want to say, Greg, thank you to the family, his sons that are out there, and his wife Peggy, and his brother Larry, and his other family. Just how much we appreciate Greg's contributions to the Métis community, and that he will be sorely missed. And we should all take a moment and just a few seconds just to honor Greg and just think about him for a moment or two. So thank you everyone for just a short time of indulgence. I just want to say to everyone how much we will miss him, and we hope the family's okay, and that we will be having a celebration of life for Greg. We did post quite a few pictures and that on our website. He was our director of industry engagement, really involved our team. Our team had a really hard time with this. And so, and I know some of our staff in here, other board members. So there will be a celebration of life there that's being planned for June or July. I guess we'll have some exact dates, and it'll be in Kelowna, and we'll be supporting the family to host a significant celebration of life for Greg. So let's when that time comes, we're going to ask our members and our friends and our partners watching tonight to just hopefully get out and support that. So again, just a final farewell to our friend Greg. Now, that was not easy for me because what you didn't know is the last time I did Métis Coffee Talk, that literally happened 24 hours before Coffee Talk, and it was I couldn't speak about it then, but I knew about it. And so, if I seemed a little off before Christmas, it's because I was trying to digest the fact that Greg had left us. So that was very difficult for me personally. Greg was a good friend to me too. So, having said that, there's a number of other things that I do want to bring and some other stories that I want to bring to your attention. I do want to skip us to. We had a. I mean, I it's I just want to bring it out on the tonight. And after this, I know Renee, I'll cut to you guys for some music. But some of you would have seen we were on Global News this weekend, and one of the other stories I did want to bring up tonight, which is why I've asked both Angel and Zia to speak to us tonight. I'm going to ask Angel and Zia one by one just to give us a bit of context shortly about what happened this past weekend in terms of what the intent was of the Coastal Conference. And I just really feel that I've been involved with Indigenous work, both First Nations, Métis, not so much Inuit, but a lot of First Nations and Métis organizations, programs, etc., since basically I graduated university in 1995. Before that, I was in my own Métis community in Prince Albert, contributing along with my grandparents, my aunties, the family, as much as I could. I just attended meetings and just tried to be a part of the community, right? But I have to say, this last weekend shook me to my core, and I want to give us some context. So, there was some incorrect media coverage. There was allegations that the Federation didn't follow respectful Indigenous protocol, and that somehow we were trying to take away First Nations rights. So I won't spend a whole bunch of time on this. We've made it clear that both of those are factually 100% incorrect. But before I get into the stuff of the sort of the issues of this, I'm going to cut to Angel here. Angel, you are the coastal conservation, manager. Why don't you let people know tonight really what the coastal conference was about? Because and when Z is up, I'm going to go through some of the highlights of the work you guys have done over this last year.
Yeah, so the Coastal Conference, this was our second one. We had one back in 2023, and in 2024, it was no different than the one we had last year. The focus of the Coastal Conference is to bring awareness to the current climate crisis that's happening in the world. It's a global issue, and it's an issue that affects every human, not a select groups, or it affects everyone, and it affects everyone equally, and it's going to take everybody taking part in correcting those issues to fix the issues that are going on in the world. So the conference was aimed towards bringing awareness to those issues, not just coastal, but aquatic as well. And it was just to bring folks together who shared that passion or that interest. Maybe they already had some awareness or they were looking for awareness. And it was just intended to bring everyone together. We had a whole variety of guest speakers, ranging from some sharing their personal journeys with conservation and how they got involved, and others sharing their company's goals and objectives in battling the climate crisis.
Yeah, and so I mean, we've got information on the website, as everyone knows, but I mean, who was the intended audience of this conference? Like, what was the sort of the key objectives that you want people to understand coming out of this?
Yeah, the main audience was really anyone who is interested in conservation and the issues that are going around in the world about conservation. Primarily, the target audience was more youth-based, and we did have a wide variety of youth, which is kind of in particular why that issue that arose during the conference was really might have been really unsettling for some of them that weren't aware of that. That was the main audience, but it was open to anyone who shared an interest in conservation or looking for awareness or to share their stories.
And I know we've got this in the correspondence, and I'll highlight a bit of that next. But how many people were there?
We had over 100 attendees, little over 100.
And most of that, it's fair to say, most of that was Métis audience.
Yes. Yeah.
Most
Our main target is always to get out BC Métis Federation members, community members, and then we save some seats for friends, family, general public that shares the same goals and cares that we do here.
Yeah. So before I get into that, I'm going to come back to you, Angel, but I want to just pull Zia in here for a second. Zia, I mean, one of the things that I saw that the team put together was a remarkable showcase of some of the work that's been done with the 2023 review piece that you guys shared with the conference. I think this really, to me, showcases the work you guys have done. Can you give me maybe some highlights of particularly the 2023 and review of the coastal water protectors?
Yes, for sure. In 2023 was actually one of our successful year in the department that I think we had. We had a chance to go to all different communities in town and cities and either have a community-based event or some specific event, or even sometimes we get invited to be join and just be with that communities. And we thought after we had a meeting, Angela and I, we decided to come up all these photos to the magazine so people actually see, because sometimes I understand sometimes some people in a different communities mention that we don't have enough events there, which is I understand, but British Columbia is really big province, and but always we try to reach out to our different communities and try to put some different event, depends of if they are reaching out to us and what kind of section they show their interest.
Yeah, I really, what I loved about the magazine, it just showed pictures of younger people, older people, but everyone was out just trying to do their part to contribute to coastal conservation, right? And I mean, I see in there some of the activities, it looks like beach cleanup. What are some of the other
Yes.
activities the youth are doing here in these photos?
Well, we take actually this group is a coastal pub. This is age 5 to 11, and we took them to Vancouver Aquarium. I remember it was in the summer. It was a busy day, but we took all these kids to that place and tried to give them opportunity to learn about new species and to be in a group of their kids that they are in the same age with them and just have a fun day.
Yeah. So clearly, like, I think like to the some of the sort of accusations from some of the First Nation leaders, and I know not everyone understands the issue, but this program, it was not intended to assert Métis rights over water or their lands. It was meant to help our Métis community and our youth. Like what I love about what you guys have set up is we have sort of the general overview for the adults, if you will, but then you guys created these youth initiatives, and I know the impacts were really positive with the young people, and I just, I continue to sort of wonder. How that sort of was misinterpreted. But maybe either one of you, this is another example, the sea wolves. What was this, the coastal sea wolves?
Well, Seawolf is cover youth between 12 to 17, but sometimes depends of the nature of the activity we extended because in some policy and organization, youth explanation of youth is actually more than 18 and it's go, I believe, to 30 years old. On this specific activity, we had opportunity to our BCMF members and after that, our community members that live in Lower Mainland to join us for two activity that we call one day camp. The first activity, as you can see, is that opportunity we give to the youth to have a 2 hours kayak lesson in Deep Cove, and the second activity it was the catch and relief your own fish after you finish the presentation about all native species that we have in British Columbia.
Yeah. And even there was other activities that I know we provided community members, things like these sort of individual spill kits, right, for smaller spills. And I know there was a gentleman at the conference, and he appreciated the fact that we were had these spill kits because there was some spill in Falls Creek, which this book touched on, right? So there was, whether it was accidental or whatever. I mean, there was
Yeah.
we were just providing these tools for our own community and our members to contribute to environmental cleanup.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, Angel and I, deliver, I believe, between 2 to 3 spill kit to this gentleman when he reached out to Angel after he kind of disappointed about reaching to the other organization that in charge of response to this type of incidents. And we actually show up and we pass all the spill kit and help that person that it was really concern about that spilled in oil that he find in Falls Creek.
Yeah. And just in the interest of time, I know we got to, but these are other activities. I see a lot of community members. You guys organize a number of land sort of and sea cleanups just to contribute to environmental stewardship, right? I mean, like, what was your feeling, Angel, when you were with people at like you had such great turnouts at some of these events? Like, did anyone feel like it was like negative? Like how what were people feeling when you guys were doing that work?
No, it was really amazing experiences getting out into the communities, especially the beach cleanups. Even just being set up out there, it generated a lot of interest from other beach goers, and they would stop by, they would ask if they could participate, and it was just really well received by people that were attending and then people that were walking by. And I think we made like a lot of connections in the summer with just people walking by,
Mhm.
and now they're aware of who we are and what our goals are, and I
Yeah.
think we built a lot of good connections over the summer.
Yeah, I think what I really appreciate was was an excellent summary of just the kind of just contributing environmental support we were trying to do. And going back to the conference itself, these are the kind of things we're trying to instill, that sort of that environmental awareness, conservation awareness in our members, in the families, in the friends, and the partners, right? This was all our contributions around that. And I think you guys have done an excellent job. Now, let's just, I don't want to spend the whole show on this because we got other items, but as you guys know, it did get very difficult on the weekend. And, I led with some of that. You know, what was your take when I guess, being in the room live, what was your take? Like, how do you feel the delegates sort of felt feeling like that people were trying to force us to close that event? Because that's exactly what happened in that particular on the weekend.
Well, I think the attendees that were kind of aware of the situation and what was unfolding, I think were probably shared similar things to what we were feeling of sadness, shock, disappointment. And I think others that may not quite be aware of that political side were probably just really surprised and confused at what was unfolding because, again, the intent of the conference was just to spread awareness. And I 100% stand by that. The climate crisis that we're in, we experienced last year the hottest year in global history, and Canada had the worst year in wildfire history. And these are just, facts that reinstate that it's an everybody issue and we all need to do our part. And it was just to bring awareness. So I was really disappointed to see what happened.
I'm going to ask our vice president to weigh in on this, but let's just look at the media coverage. The one story that we got, there was a correspondence exchanged in a very short period of time right before the conference. And I'm just giving everyone the context. Within a handful of days prior to the conference, we were asked to cancel it because we didn't follow protocol by specifically the host three nations here, Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh, and that they were saying we were trying to assert Métis land our water rights over their waterways and I guess terrestrial on the land where the beaches were, both of which wasn't true. This was as we tried to paint the picture for you. So let's look at the media release or the media coverage. Most of people would have seen it, but I'm going to just play the short 45-second clip.
At a hotel conference room in North Van Saturday, you saw the kind of thing that plays out thousands of times a year. An organization holding an event to talk about its vision and purpose. But as ordinary as this looks, it was offensive to some First Nations people in BC.
It is a practice of the First Nations of British Columbia when they are in an area that is owned by another First Nation to firstly recognize that other First Nations title and rights and to thank them for allowing them to either travel across their territory or visit their territory.
The Coastal Water Conference was put on by the BC Métis Federation. While many Métis live in BC and some claim a historical presence here, some BC First Nations don't recognize them as having Aboriginal rights here. And when they learned of the conference, they asked that it be cancelled.
It shows the disrespect of the Métis to the First Nations title and rights holders in British Columbia.
It was really disheartening to have a sort of a cease and desist demand. It wasn't helpful.
BC Métis Federation President Keith Henry says his group isn't trying to claim title in BC, but only using the conference to explore ways to help the environment. He says they followed the tradition in respecting the First Nations here.
I just wanted to reflect on First Nation leaders to reflect on what it felt like for them many years ago, because we're just starting that journey.
But for some First Nations, holding an unapproved conference like this threatens to confuse people about what rights the Métis have in BC. Something they say is already happening in connection with the Trans Mountain Pipeline project.
The Métis are getting huge grants from the oil companies and from the federal government.
In North Vancouver, Paul Johnson, Global News.
Yes. So I guess for me, I mean, I don't know you guys, Zia and Angel and Renee, our vice president, maybe we'll get you off mute and bring you into the conversation if we can have a four-way here, but there's so much wrong with the coverage on that. And Renee, we know that First Nations showed up at the event. There seemed to be this mass confusion that we didn't want them for protocol, which we know is not true. I just don't understand how that people could turn it into that. We had the best of intentions. Anyone that's been on our site has seen the correspondence we sent before the event. I mean, Angel, just to confirm with everyone watching tonight, maybe just a really quick summary of the number of things you did in December leading up to this event with the three host nations.
Yeah, so we began planning this conference pretty much just a few weeks after the first one. And one of the main things that we did, like most other events that we have, is we contacted the First Nations whose territory we would be having the conference on. That was done by both Sia and I. And thankfully, they were done by email. So we do have email correspondence to confirm that we did reach out to them. And in some cases, we even heard back from them. And we were slated to have a Tsleil-Waututh elder attend to do a traditional opening. Also, with all of our events, we always make our first priority to acknowledge the traditional and unceded territories that we are holding our event on. And in cases where we have printed material, like in this case, we had an agenda and the magazine. And again, those are right in the front of everything that we publish that's printed.
And so what was our initial, like when you were reaching out, I know that not everyone online will understand, but you had constructive, it appears, dialogue. Like I know we didn't show the audience all, we provided a letter, we showed 2 examples, but there was a lot of correspondence, phone calls. Was there ever any like anger, frustration, like what we're hearing in this media piece by this Hugh Breaker, our Baker, pardon me, or Breaker? Like I just feel he's so disconnected from the truth of what happened in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, I was quite confused because with one of the particular nations, I had continual dialogue going back and forth by both phone and by email, as well as with the elder that we had arranged to come out with. And that was leading up literally just until the day before. So I was quite taken aback by the sudden change of events that seemed to just be unfolding within 24 to 48 hours before the event.
Well, here's the part I didn't understand. They said we didn't have, so on the media, they said 2 things. The protocol. Well, that media report came in at noon to talk to us or shortly after lunch. These are the 3 chiefs from the 3 First Nations. They were there. Like, I don't know how Global didn't understand it, or I don't know how the First Nation Leadership Council doesn't understand that. And I'm not saying that we definitely didn't, they made it clear there was confusion, and we talked with leadership to leadership, and we had a really good dialogue, and I feel it was respectful. But right there's Kasalem from Squamish, Jen Thomas, Tsleil-Waututh chief, who's her, you can see just beside the gentleman's arm in the background there. And then on the far right is Chief Wayne Sparrow from the Musqueam First Nation. Those are the 3 key leaders from the communities. And Gabriel George is a protocol representative for all the nations because he's got ancestral connections to the 3 nations. And he spoke and they said we have a lot to learn together, and we agreed with that. And so it was despite I felt like outside influences trying to make an issue, we actually worked our way through it. It was a very tense morning. I felt relieved. We had our leadership shake hands. So I don't understand why Global covered it in that way and ran with a story that they knew hours later, or they should. I told them, so I don't understand why they ran the story, was simply false. Protocol was followed. I doubt we'll ever get a retraction by the representative for the First Nation Leadership Council. But I mean, I just want to come to just I just wanted to show just to make sure that our audience knew that absolutely we had protocol, and we were working on protocol well before that. We didn't know it was going to be the leadership. We thought we were going to have, like you said, an elder come and so forth. But Renee, you're the vice president. Have you ever seen anything like this before? And how did you feel watching this unfold and the twisting and turning of this? And meanwhile, we're trying to keep the audience just away from the nonsense of this, if I can say it that much.
No, I never seen that before, and I was disappointed that the way that they wanted us to close this event, and I don't know if I could say that, barged in at the end to just, and they were allowed at the end, like you mentioned, they were allowed, and they came and spoke, and now we're sort of, in agreement that we are negotiate, I suppose. But I was totally disappointed that the way it happened.
Yeah, Zia, I know. I mean, obviously, you're not Métis and you're not Indigenous. But how do you feel? How do you feel like? Is there anything we could have done different? I mean, at the end of the day, besides all of us being frustrated, I did feel, and I still feel today, that there still might be some good that comes out of this. But as a newer person to the Indigenous challenges between communities, perspective you want to share with anyone on here on tonight?
Well, I think
Uh, yeah,
we learned
well,
something.
I
No, Renee, I was asking Zia.
Yeah, sorry for that. So it was actually a tough situation, in my opinion, and I'm feeling that sometimes, unfortunately, sometimes people jump to the conclusion without enough research. And I always, when I think about chief or elders, I'm feeling about the people that they comes to the situation to keep everything calm. And if you are a chief or elder and you actually put a fire into the situation, I'm feeling it's concerning because in my understanding, always elder and chief or anyone that is a wisdom person of a group should in charge of keep everything more calm and settled down. Um, so yeah, definitely, I would like to next time, if there is anything wrong that we've done, although for the conference we follow the protocols and all the steps that we should. But again, if there is anything wrong, I would appreciate everyone or anyone to reach out to us by email. We don't need to like showing all this um, confusion to the public and make people scare off that there is a really big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the unfortunate side. There was a lot of younger people and people that hadn't been around Indigenous politics within their own community, never mind Métis and First Nation politics. And I did get, it's fair to say that I'm sure a few of us had weird conversations with people saying, I didn't feel good watching that. I don't feel good being a part of that. And that's the danger. Like it's up to us as leaders to just try and, take the high road. We go behind closed doors, we work through our stuff and let's be leaders. And I think in the end, we got as good as we could that day. I think I personally thank the three chiefs because I really felt we did reach a good consensus at the end, and I felt it was good. I just don't like how media has ripped it apart now, and I just feel, there's been some online clutter that's not even true. And what bugs me the most is some of these other First Nation leadership groups that are looking to fight with the Métis use this as a wedge issue, and I think behind all this, I hope the First Nation leaders, I said in the interview, like we're connected, maybe not to their community, but our ancestors are connected to First Nation people. And so let's be soft on helping. If you want us to do things differently, then put it in writing and help us understand or talk to us. I feel like the whole time protocols expected of us, but no one talked to us. We did reach out. And that's what I kept saying to the leadership. Like we're not trying to do anything intentional, but we have to have an open dialogue. I just want to show one last thing, and I just want to acknowledge that the team, beyond all of this, before this event even happened, right on our agenda, it was always posted. Like we did follow protocol. Here's an example. Right on the agenda, we always recognize the unceded territories of the host nations. It was there in plain and black and white from day one. And I just have to say, you know, um, these are things that we didn't just add on. Like, it was there from the beginning. And I just again we spent a lot more time on this than I thought I was going to tonight, but I really feel that, you know, it was important to provide our viewers tonight a really, just some context from us. So, lessons learned. I know that Renee, we talked about meeting with their leadership. I hope we get that meeting with the leadership. I hope we can work through with the individual First Nations and make things better for the future. And I don't know what your final thoughts are on this topic, Renee.
I think it was a start, a beginning, and I think we should keep going. And I think, by the looks of it, I hope that it goes through.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. We did agree, leadership to leadership. We said it in front of a room of 100 people that we're going to work together and have, so I've reached out and we'll see. Well, hopefully we get the meeting, and I'm not optimistic because I know I've done this before with many First Nations and I've worked with a lot of them and I really like a lot of the leadership individually, but they have to get past this this perception that the Métis aren't really in BC. It's just not true. We're here and we live here and we're just trying to make our way. We shouldn't have to give up who we are to appease their political interests. Like I'm Métis and we're all Métis and we just want to be respected and included. When you say Indigenous, it means Métis too. It doesn't mean just First Nations. And so we have a long ways to go. Any final comments, Angel or Zia, on this? I mean, we did spend time, but it was an important conversation. Angel, anything?
Yeah, for me, just yeah, we'll just keep on doing our work, and to add on to that, I hope that now that this is kind of arisen to the top, that hopefully it kind of does force everyone involved to have those difficult conversations and hopefully just move forward in a productive and constructive and positive way. Because I think at the end of the day, whether everyone realizes it or not, I think we all have a very common and similar goal. So I think the more that we can be united and work together, the faster that goal will get accomplished.
Absolutely. Zia, any final thoughts you want to share on this topic?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Keith, and anyone that helped us on that day for the conference to help us and support us to pass this situation that we had. I'm really thankful. And the second thing I want to just mention that when we are talking about conservation, we are not talking about any specific race or a specific age. I think when you're talking about conservation and environment, anyone should be in charge of helping environment to keep it clean and healthy for themselves, for their family, and for the next generation. Yeah, and then as long as you live in this country or province, you have that, I think, equally right to go and clean a trash or change your lifestyle, even a little bit, to just help the environment if there's going to be a recycling or reduced paper. Thank you.
You're welcome, Z, and I'll just end with this. You know, we didn't get into it, but they're talking about we got all these huge grants. There was two issues in the media, right? And it's been the same two issues we've read in some of the First Nations correspondence in the last just literally 2 days or 2.5 days before this event, that somehow we were getting all this money. And there's just like, it's just not true. The project that supported this was in part with the work we've done with Coast Guard and Department of Fisheries and Oceans. But the First Nations in BC are all, like, they're getting 99% of that funding and we get less than 1%. So let's put this in the context. We're doing our contribution on that work with those departments. Those are federal departments. We work with many federal partners. We are contributing to conservation. We're contributing to the environmental challenges we have in front of us because we also live here. Doesn't mean we're trying to take their title, doesn't try to mean, and we did respect protocol. So on both fronts, I just find there's a narrative being spun, and I've heard Hugh say it on many public events, and I would hope that someone would let him watch this show so he can see it from me, because I certainly will say it to him when I see him face to face. He needs to stop misleading the public. It's not true, and he needs to stop. Like, there's a fine line between great, and that's where real leadership shows. You know, Indigenous people like Hugh talk about respect for protocols and respect for culture. Well, then respect each other. And we deserve, like, don't lie about us and don't say we're getting these huge grants when you know darn well First Nations in BC are much further ahead. And that's fine with us. We understand that. But, you know, let's be realistic about what these are. Like, don't gaslight the issue to make grassroots First Nation people that somehow we're stealing from them, because that's what that message does. And that's not true. And we're here to say, stop it. And hopefully we'll get a chance to deal with that in time and in a good way, in a healthy way, in a way that's educated and put the facts on the table. Because I think we got to stop this. It's making Métis people feel like we've done something wrong. We've done nothing wrong. These are publicly accessible programs for all Indigenous people, not just the rights issues. Yes, absolutely, for sure. Respect First Nations rights and their title efforts. But we also are Section 35 people, and we still continue to want to understand what that means for BC. So I'll just leave it at that, and I just want to put that issue out there. Like, we are less than 1% of those alleged huge grants. So, and that's the truth. And so let's if we're going to have a conversation, let's have an informed one. Okay. Anyways, thank you, Angel. Thank you, Zia, for joining me tonight. You're welcome to sit in and listen, but I know we're going to get on. But Renee, that was a very long segment. I'm sorry, but I just felt we needed to dive into that a bit for our folks online. What are you going to play? What are you and Helen going to give us next?
I think I'm going to try and play a Métis tune called Leather Breeches. G.
Well, great tune there, Helen and Renee. Hey, what's the name of your band? You had a name last month. What's the name of the band this month?
Spring Fever, still the same.
Oh, Spring Fever. Oh, it's just you picked up some roadies, I guess, eh?
I did.
But I'm not spring fever. I'm getting nervous.
Yeah. No, I'm giving you
I
guys a
don't
hard
know, that's
time.
okay. I don't mind.
Uh,
I don't mind.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys. That was a great traditional Métis tune, one that many Métis people will definitely recognize and always enjoyable. And I really appreciate that. When did you first learn that song, Renee?
I think I've learned it when I joined BCM, MNBC.
Oh, okay. Helen, have you helped? Sorry?
20 years maybe?
Oh, 20 years? And Helen, how about you? You've played that song lots in your career, I'm sure.
I just play whatever they play.
I heard Renee, he said G. I'm not a musician. I wouldn't know what you mean. G is okay. Then it's H. What do you mean?
Chord.
Next.
It's a
I know.
chord.
I know, but I wouldn't know where to strum on a guitar if it fell out of the sky and hit me on the head. Anyways, what I do want to just a couple other stories. We got a few more items to deal with tonight, but I just want to let our members knowing watching tonight. I'm sure most of you saw, but with we've had to appoint a new director of industry engagement, and I'm so proud that we're pushing us another young Métis, proud Métis woman up in a senior role in the organization. Many of you will know Taylor McLeod. She's taken on the role of Director of Industry Engagement, obviously with Greg being lost. And we're super proud of you, Taylor. And she's family from Fort Nelson. She's been a real force in our organization and working with ECDev. And it just made a lot of sense to all of us. And she was, I worked with the engagement team after, obviously the incident and issues of December. And they're really pulling together, and she'll continue to work with Karen and Brad, and she's now added one more team member recently. Jennifer Percival from Kelowna will be joining in. So yeah, she's going to do a great job. She's going to lead our regulatory work and just any of the work we do on the industry engagement side. So just want to say welcome. Let's all wish Taylor the best in that work she's going to be doing over the next little while or next number of years. Hopefully, we never want to see Taylor move on. We want to keep our Métis people working for us. I also want to invite all of our Métis members that are able to come on. We're having a Métis community movie night. We talked about this in December. We will be hosting a private screening of the documentary about Métis governance. We are Métis, Limachif Niayan, and it'll be hosted here at we have sort of a larger boardroom area. We call it our cultural sort of center for now. We can host about 60 people or so. So we just want to invite people in. It's a private screening on Thursday, February 1st. It's free. It's just for our members. And then we're going to have a facilitated conversation. It's about a 90-minute video, and it's a documentary put together by the University of Victoria. We can't put it online because it is a private screening. There's limitations. It's licensed in a certain way. Some of our board members are coming down to be a part of the conversation, and we've asked Dr. Bruce Shelby from our research team to facilitate a conversation after the movie's done. It is more focused on Métis Nation, traditionally of the Métis National Council and those organizations. But we felt it was important to have just a conversation about it. Let's see what people are saying. How do we see ourselves within that context of what is Métis governance, and work our way through it. I mean, we don't just I can say personally, none of our leadership at the BC Métis Federation is somehow nauseously opposed to the Métis National Council or the MNBC and the rest of the organizations. They have their governance. We have our own process. We respect theirs. Hopefully they respect ours. But we're curious about what they're saying, and I'd be curious to see what the outcome of this is. On those very pictures at the Vatican, I was there for the papal apology almost 2 years ago now, when the Pope apologized for residential school survivors. I saw many of these Métis people at that event in St. Peter's Square. So I'm just curious to watch it, and I invite our Lower Mainland friends to make sure they come on in and watch the show with us. And we don't have free admission, but we'll give you some free popcorn, and we'll have some pop and juice and a few other treats and snacks for people to be there. So come join us for an evening on Thursday, February 1st, 2024. So it's not too far off, a little bit over about a week away. So hope to see you I guess it is a week away. So hope to see you next Thursday, and we promise we won't be late. I won't lock my keys in my room next Thursday. What do you think, Renee? You going to come see a movie?
I'm working on it.
Yeah, I know. I've been trying to convince you to come for sure. I do want to say one more item, and then we're gonna talk to Renee. We'll do a song after this. Then we're gonna talk to Renee about a little bit about their Michif language, a bit of an update from them. So, the next item I want to bring, some of you may have seen this as well. We're having a ribbon skirt making workshop with a focus on Métis women. It'll be Saturday, February 10th. Of course, a little bit away here at the office on 10 till 2 p.m. And we've got this information posted on our website. And of course, it was posted on our Facebook page. There is a registration process. There's limited number of seats available. If you're interested, make sure you register ASAP. There's only so many seats. It is Métis women focused. So this is going to be a key activity for them. It'll be in Vancouver. I know that we're organizing a number of a Métis Women's Committee and others, and they'll be doing these kind of workshops in different parts of the province. It's a way that the Federation is contributing to pulling together more of the Métis women's voice and activities, cultural activities across the province. So, hope to see some of the Lower Mainland Métis women. Make sure you look on our site. We're going to have some people reaching out just to remind people very shortly. But yeah, I hope to see you there. So why don't we cut to another song? What are you going to play for us, Renee and Helen?
I'm going to play, let's see, no, I got a list here. I'm going to play a tune that I woke up one morning. And of course, I got up right away, and Anna got the tape, and she taped it. And we called it Pollyanna. On G, no, on D.
Great job. Thank you, guys. Wonderful, wonderful song. I was reminded here, just as there's some people commenting online, I do want to also remind, I showed the women's ribbon skirt process, but also the community leaders with our partner communities across the province. Remember, we're looking for youth and elder representatives from across the different partner communities. So please get in contact. We've had an email going out to the various community leaders from Surrey to the north to the Vancouver Island. We're looking to have a youth activity in March, and we have something fun with the youth and try and bring a number of representatives together here in the Lower Mainland. And I know the elders are looking to do something fun too. But I don't think they're going to do the same type of activities as the youth. Never know. I'm not sure. Not sure. I'm not going to say anything stupid because I'll probably get myself in trouble if I make any guesses about what's going to happen. But and I'll inevitably upset someone. But but we are. Please watch for those updates. If you want to get involved, talk to your local partner community boards. Ask to get involved. Jordan Therian, our board member from Terrace, is the youth representative leading it, and of course Louise Lambert is leading the women's committee work and representation. And elders is our very own Elizabeth Pierce, an elder as well, well known up from Terrace, BC. So I'm going to move us along. Michif language. What's happening, guys? Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies first.
We're great. So, and how are you doing?
Hey, ça marche. Comment ça va?
Ça va bien.
Bon, merci.
Merci.
Je suis très fatigué.
Tired, yeah.
Tired, yeah. I'm trying to remember how to speak my little bit of my Michif here. I can't remember it all, but anyways, I can spit the odd word out.
So Renee, do you want to share a little bit about what we just said in Michif?
Okay, how are you doing? In Michif would be comment ça va? And then you is toi. You there, toi là. What is your name? Que c'est ton nom? And you, puis toi. You too, toi aussi.
So we just used just those few words, and you can create a bit of a dialogue by conversing them back and forth with some of the materials that we've created. So we wanted to just give an example of what we're working on for the community.
Yeah. It's interesting because I appreciate, sorry, Jeannie, we didn't introduce you, but your name and title again?
Jeannie Cardinal, Director of Michif Language with BC Métis Federation.
Perfect. And I know you're doing some conversational Michif that you're going to walk us through as part of the update, which you guys are doing amazing work on. And it's interesting because I've heard people say, well, that's more French. No, it's not. It's a different style. It was like, and it's not the only Michif language. We've said that on previous shows. This is the dialect, though, that our members have overwhelmingly wanted us to continue to build and revitalize. So that's sort of where you guys are coming from. But so where, I guess, yeah, just I'll turn it back to you because I know you guys got some important pieces you want to update us on.
Yeah, so first and foremost, our Michif languages all across the board, they're all oral spoken languages. They were never written down. So I guess I want the community to really understand when you see a written language of any of the Michif languages, those language structures have been created by a team of committed people within each community sector that's trying to reflect the language best so it can be preserved and passed on in a structured way. But whenever you're in doubt, always refer back to the fluent speaker. And hopefully people have done recordings, have audio, have video, things that you can really listen to a fluent speaker. The written materials are intended to be a guide for you and create some structured format around that. What we've also noticed in doing our work is that there's many different interpretations of the way a word should be spelled. And there's some words that are consistently adopted by each of the speakers. So we worked at really retaining those key words without changing any of them. And other words, we've had to adopt a kind of phonetic system to track the words so that it best reflects that. So some words you may see and say, that word doesn't sound like the way the speaker sounds because that word was an original accepted spelling. So we're just trying to marry the audio and the spelling together and setting people up for success by practicing the phonetic sound that they hear. So whenever you're in doubt in what you see as a written translation of a word, always refer back to the fluent speaker because that's really the original holder of the language. So I just wanted to share that because there was a great question that was posed on our Facebook page around the language. Why is it written this way, but it sounds this way? And I thought that was just a fantastic question. That's also a question I asked when working with the speakers, you know, so I thought it was just really important to share that you'll see different variations in spellings, double I's, double E's, an AY at the end of something, but they all have the same sound when you hear it. It's just spelled a little differently. So to keep awareness about that, what we have really worked on is how do we create a system that has to identify the patterns in the language. And maybe Keith, we could pull up that sample list of a couple words. I sent you a little email with our sample words, and maybe we could pull that up. And how we've identified, we broke down the language and identifying what's the masculine or feminine in the language. Because with the French influence, you have those attributes of the language, is understanding the nouns as having masculine, feminine. There's a single application, plural. And we notice that also some of the patterns in the language, it'll say snow, but then it says la neige. It's the snow. So there's different ways we've broken down identifying that for the average viewer to see the patterns in the language. So if we scroll up to where the sample words are, Keith. So turnip is very much a Michif phrase at the way it's said. Maybe Renee?
Turnip in Michif is chouchiam.
So that's a very Michif way of saying it. It's not French and it's not Cree, but it's very Michif.
Chouchiam.
Yeah. What we've also identified, which would be helpful, and this is all done in a lot of our upcoming work that's going to help with community, every single word has a root word. And the root word, say for boy, would be
Go.
when you say a boy, which you'll often see presented the word boy, it'll say a boy, but the direct translation is
Un go.
when you have the boy
Le go.
and my boy,
Mon go.
your boy,
Ton go.
and boys plural.
Li go.
So the word changes when you add things to it, but we're not seeing a consistency across the board to help people understand why that changes the word and how it. The word boy is actually a masculine root word, so you'd have the LE. If you had girl, it would be fi and it'd be la instead of li to refer to the. And when we have eagle is a very let's go down. Eagle is one that significantly changes when you go from the root word to the plural word. So we have eagle as
Egg.
an eagle,
Un egg.
the eagle,
Leg.
and eagles.
Les eggs.
So there's certain words that really do change significantly in the way that you apply a plural or a the to it, and other ones that you can see a pattern of that are a little more simplistic. So we've really tried to map that out in all the work that we're doing so that people get the hang of, is this masculine? Is this feminine? How do I add the word the to it? How do I add the word my to it or your to it when it's a feminine or masculine item? You know? And same with eagles and moose. You end up with the Z on it to add to the plural and the N on it to add to the an. We don't know the reason for it, but that's just the pattern of the language. So we've identified those words that have that language dance, as I guess I would call it.
Perfect.
So we're hoping in what we're teaching everybody and be able to share with them that they'll be able to see that pattern and they'll be able to figure out the language a little bit easier.
Perfect. Can we go actually?
That's a little helpful.
It is. I find it very, like, I know like many people, they're trying to, particularly our Métis community, a lot of people are trying to, like, some people navigate more towards the Cree language, which is fine, but that's Cree. It's not, wasn't a Michif language for a lot of our families. Some communities it was, but for a lot of us, it was the French Michif like this, and there might have been different dialects within that. Like you say, it wasn't a written, it was a lot of it was oral, right? And then it was interpreted 1,000 different ways. Can we just actually say these sayings? Like, so Renee, when you say, how are you doing? How do you say that?
Comment ça va?
Yeah.
Comment ça va?
Ça va. And it's funny because the French is spelt differently and it's phonetically said a little differently, right? So come on. So how are you doing in French is comment ça va, right? And this is more comment ça va, right?
Comment ça va? Yeah, that's right.
They have a sharper K sound in Michif, and you have the AW sound in a lot of the words. And that's where you'll see that the Cree language coming in to influences that.
Yeah. So what about how do you say, what is your name?
Que c'est ton nom?
Que c'est ton nom? Yeah. Okay. And if do you know how you would say so in French you would say oh my goodness, here I was going to try and be so clever and now I can't remember how to say it in French now. But it's not that way. See, where I see this is interesting to me because I see the Cree influence here, right? Que c'est ton nom. Wait. Can you say it again? Sorry, I just want to make sure I'm getting it right.
Que c'est ton nom, but the Michif back home, we always say you, right? So, que c'est ton nom, toi? And we always pointed because we're talking to this person.
Yeah.
I would say, que c'est ton nom, toi?
You see, but if it was my grandma, she'd say, que c'est ton nom, and she'd point with her lips. She wouldn't say toi, she'd point with her lips.
And there's also things like when somebody asks, where do you live? Or when I'm saying, where do you live? You'd start off with me. Yeah. Where do I live? You know, but the phrase will actually, if you're trying to translate it into written form, it just English wants to know, where do you live?
Yeah.
But you start off in Michif with me, a reference to me as the first word. I live.
Yeah.
You know, which is a different part of the way the language dances as well. It's very descriptive.
Absolutely. So, Jeannie, I know we're kind of running late on time, but what's your next steps? Like, I see we're doing some more of this conversational, which I'm sure people online will appreciate a lot. How do we where do we send people watching tonight? Where should they go look for some of this work?
Well, this work is going to be first and foremost provided to our BC partner communities. So we're putting together at least a year long of weekly lessons. starting off from basic beginners into doing sentence and phrases, and then working into sentence structure. So, and the communities will be able to work at their own pace. They can repeat lessons as they need to, depending on what their community's needs are. And we're setting up with the whole structured from how do I promote it? How do I do a registration package to get people to come out? How do I run a group? And what content and how do I present it? And we'll provide all those materials and stuff to those partner communities to start hosting a French Michif workshop, you know, for a year long of lessons of progressive learning and from basics into sentence structure.
So is that and is the plan then with the department, we're sending these tools out, is there gonna be some support to help implement? What's the vision on that?
Yes. So we're not just going to hand it over. What we're going to do is actually we're going to go and actually visit each community for 2 days to work with them, show them all the resources, facilitate a couple of the sessions so that they feel comfortable. And then we have the opportunity to answer any questions they may have, to build that relationship so that connection is really solid, so that we can be reached out to and they have an ease of asking whatever questions they need to be successful, or troubleshooting anything, or even co-facilitating anything that they need support on to help be successful in their community. And I think the most important takeaway is we want the communities to build a hub of language, because we don't want them to work in isolation. They need to build a community of language together to keep the language alive, because one of the biggest issues now is our fluent speakers are isolated from one another. They don't have a place to speak it either. No. So building a network of speaking communities that are learning together helps encourage that growth and keeps our language alive.
So there you go. So everyone watching tonight, so watch for, there'll be some tools like this that our director of Michif language and our vice president are putting tools together for conversational Michif. We're going to be providing those with the partner communities, and I'm sure members will have access in different ways. We'll also be providing some resources to provide 2-day workshops that are coming up, and hopefully bring some Michif speakers together, as you were saying, right? And so there's some strategic steps, if I can call it that, and we will be releasing a more comprehensive plan before the end of March. And I know that you guys are working on that right now. So pretty exciting stuff. So I just wanted to say thank you, Jeannie, for the work you're doing. And I know that'll lead us into more tangible ways to measure progress on the Michif language. So thank you and Renee for the work you guys are doing.
Thank you. Our pleasure.
Yeah. Yeah. And then with that, Renee, do you want to, can we do one more song with you and Helen? I'm sorry, Jeannie, there's a way we can get Helen back on.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeannie. And so what's our final song of the evening going to be with you guys? And then I got a couple last minute items and we're going to call it a night.
It's going to be a Crystal two-step.
Well, thank you both. Great Crystal Two-Step by Helen and Renee. I don't want to make the band name up because I think Helen wants her name, so I'm not sure. I'm going to just go down the list and say Helen and Renee. That's right. Just a couple final items. Just remember, everyone, we've got a really robust and active BCMF job board. Our team led by Karen Andrews on the employment side. We just want to continue that if you have employment opportunities or job openings, please send that information to jobs@bcmetis.com. There's a lot of information, a lot of opportunities. Our team has provided employment opportunities with the services we've been providing to, almost 200 individuals in the last year. So really quite just want to continue. Let us know if there's opportunity. It doesn't have to just be a Métis company. It could be anyone watching, any partners. Please let them know there's Métis people that want to work. There's employment ready people, and there's a resource at your fingertips. And the more great jobs we have posted, the better opportunities you're going to find with potential employees. So just keep watching and please share that with jobs@bcmetis.com. I also want to just a couple other, just remind our members, we continue to share we do continue to bring in the health related expense program, the emergency assistance program. Boy, we've seen a lot of individuals requiring health travel, health equipment, lots of stuff. And I just want to remind our members, we have specifically a program dedicated to help our individuals with health related expenses. So it's sort of under the coined phrase of the emergency assistance program, but is specific to health related expenses. So just, if you're watching tonight or you're watching, you certainly can use your phone and use the QR code here to go right to the landing page and register. Or, you can just go on the website and work your way through the process on the website. But just want to let people know, these are the things we support: health equipment, medical supplies, and travel costs for medical appointments. Those are sort of the traditional areas. Our board reviews that on a regular basis. We have staff that oversee the process, and we sort of take it from there. And then finally, one of the last items that I just want to remind, or I guess there's two pieces I just want to just finish with, I guess. So I keep saying finally, but there's actually a couple more items that I did want to share. Sorry about that. I'll bring it back up on the screen for us as I confusing myself here with going off screen and on screen, trying to make it look so seamless, which I'm horribly failing at. We do have food security programs carrying on. We heard we have a certain portion of our community that was requiring assistance. So our leadership has supported a $100 support for the cost of groceries, the food security program. Applications are intended to help members put food on the table. So please note that BCMF has provided partner communities with some food security assistance funding. Members who belong to a partner community should apply for assistance locally instead of using our emergency assistance program. So there's two ways we provide a bit of resources to our partner communities. We did in December. We'll be doing another investment around this in the next month or so. And so we just want to remind people you can apply. It's not a huge amount, but our board doesn't have money. This is through our ECDEV. We self-fund this particular project, but we feel it's an important investment for the certain unfortunate members in our community. And we understand that the confidentiality of this. We don't want anyone feeling embarrassed or ashamed if they're having trouble making ends meet. It's an anonymous program. Our health team deals with it, and we just approve based on the merits of the application. So it doesn't go to the board. It's not some big political venture. The board is given the limitations of the program, and we are implementing it. So just let people know if there's food security issues, don't be afraid to apply. That's what it's there for. It's there to help you. And then finally, I just want to celebrate a couple of the students here. You can see on the screen beside me here, we've been continuing to implement our scholarship program. These are some of the students: Ethan Hart and Libby Wilmot. We provide up to $1,500 scholarships. Again, unfortunately, we've had to create this program because some of our members are no longer eligible under the Métis Nation BC's employment and training program. That was a policy that was changed in 2022. So that's their prerogative. We don't agree with it, but we're not going to leave students out in the lurch. So our board did approve a certain amount of scholarships, and we will continue to try and help as many students as we can. As I said earlier in the show, you might have heard me say it was about, we've had about 30 or so students we've helped with several applicants, and we're reviewing them as fast as we can. The board did set aside, and just in full transparency, $40,000 this year to help with scholarships up till March. So we have a new business plan coming out shortly, by the end of March this year for next year, and we fully intend to maintain this program. It's an important tool to help younger Métis people in our membership that are being, we feel, discriminated against by other organizations for just political reasons, unfortunately. But it is what it is, and we just stay on the positive side and work our way through it. So with that, those are sort of the key items. I'm just going to end with a couple closing comments. Renee, any final comments you want to share with the members here tonight or partners watching?
Well, I think you did a good job hosting it, and I want to thank Craig for coming down and settle our sound system, and I want to thank Jeannie for coming down. And we've been working for the last couple of days. Everything was good. So yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, I just have to say, finally, Renee, us old guard, I'm not quite as old as you, but I'm getting up there. We couldn't figure out the monkeys in the system. We sent Craig up there, and miraculously it seems to run fine now. So I don't know. Craig's got the magic touch, I guess. So it was worth the trip. Good job, Craig. And Angel, any final comments from yourself tonight?
No, just thanks for having us on. It's always a pleasure to be on Coffee Talk, and thanks for listening. And if anyone's interested in anything to do with coastal conservation or any of our initiatives, please feel free to reach out to either Zaya or myself.
Perfect. And Helen, so you're our guest performer. You know, you're we brought in the serious performers this month, I guess. You know, anything you want to share with everyone tonight?
Well, I just enjoy. We watch your coffee talk at home all the time, and so it's great to be on it. Done it once before, so I appreciate coming back on and helping out Rennie.
See, we shouldn't have let her on, Rennie. Now she knows the secret behind the curtain. Oh no. There's not a big studio. Oh no, we're in trouble. Yeah.
Stay out of your office.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, everyone, I just want to say thank you for joining us for this, obviously, this January edition of Métis Coffee Talk. You know, just go to our website. We got lots of information. And listen, we know that we spent a lot of time talking about the recent issue on the weekend. Yeah, a number of us were frustrated. It's fair to say we were angry. It's fair to say we feel berated in ways that shouldn't have, we felt were fair. But at the end of the day, we carry on. It doesn't take us off our agenda. It doesn't change what we're going to do. We're building a really great organization, and I know all of you are a part of that. So to all of you, just keep the high road, stay professional, stay positive. Don't worry about, you know, there's no point fighting things that you just can't fix. You know, over time, things fix themselves at times. And maybe in this situation, we got to lead by good example and lead by common sense and calm. You know, like we don't need to, we're not here to fight with First Nations. We're not here to fight with MNBC. We're not here to fight with anyone, but we are going to make sure that our members have the support they need. And we have an exciting year coming up. So we've as a leadership, we're going to focus on great events that I've shared with you tonight and many new ones coming in the new year. So everyone, take care of yourself, be well, and don't let things get you down. I know this time of year gets a bit doom and gloom with the weather and the rain and the winter, or where, depending where you're at. We carry on as proud Métis people, and I'm so proud of the work we do, especially watching the Michif language. Just brings me back to my own kitchen table experience with my grandma and grandpa, and I just love listening to it, love the work we're doing. So with that, thank you for joining us for this month's edition of Métis Coffee Talk. Keith Henry, President of the Métis Federation, and we'll see you next month.